Imagine working your entire life, diligently saving for retirement, only to discover that the government benefits you were counting on have suddenly changed. For millions of Canadians nearing retirement age, this isn't just a hypothetical scenario. It's a growing concern as we approach 2025. What if the safety net you've been promised isn't quite what you expected when you finally reach for it? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into Canada's Old Age Security Program and the potential changes that could affect your retirement starting in 2025. If you're planning your golden years or helping a loved one prepare for theirs, you'll want to pay close attention to what's coming. The Old Age Security Program represents one of the cornerstones of Canada's retirement income system. For decades, it has provided a basic level of income to seniors, helping them maintain dignity and independence in their later years. But as with many government benefits, OAS isn't set in stone. Economic pressures, demographic shifts, and policy priorities can all lead to adjustments, some minor, others potentially significant. And 2025 is shaping up to be a year when we might see some of these changes take effect. Think about it. When was the last time you actually sat down and calculated how much you'll receive from OAS? Do you know how these benefits fit into your overall retirement plan? Many Canadians are surprised to learn that OAS isn't a guaranteed amount, but rather can be affected by various factors, including your income and how long you've lived in Canada. And with potential changes on the horizon, understanding these nuances becomes even more crucial. Let's start with the basics before we explore what might be changing. OAS provides monthly payments to seniors aged 65 and older who meet certain residency requirements. Unlike the Canada Pension Plan (CPP), which is funded by contributions from workers and employers, OAS comes from general tax revenues. This distinction matters because it means OAS is subject to different political and economic pressures than contribution-based programs. Currently, to receive the full OAS pension, you need to have lived in Canada for at least 40 years after turning 18. If you've lived here for less time, you might still qualify for a partial pension. The amount you receive is adjusted quarterly to account for changes in the cost of living, as measured by the Consumer Price Index. As of early 2025, the maximum monthly OAS payment stands at approximately $700 for most eligible seniors, though this amount continues to be adjusted for inflation. But here's where things get interesting. Have you ever heard of the OAS clawback? Officially called the recovery tax, this provision reduces OAS benefits for higher-income seniors. If your annual income exceeds a certain threshold, approximately $86,000 in 2025, your OAS payment gets reduced by 15 cents for every dollar above that threshold. And if your income is high enough, you could lose your OAS benefits entirely. Now, one of the most significant potential changes to OAS that could come into effect in 2025 involves this income threshold. Policy experts and financial analysts have been discussing the possibility of lowering the clawback threshold, which would mean more seniors would see their benefits reduced. Why would the government consider such a change? It comes down to fiscal sustainability. With Canada's aging population, the cost of OAS is projected to increase substantially in the coming years. By 2030, it's estimated that OAS expenditures could reach over $100 billion annually, a significant burden on federal finances. But is reducing benefits for middle to higher income seniors the right approach? Some argue that these individuals have paid into the system throughout their working lives and deserve the full benefit regardless of their retirement income. Others contend that OAS should be targeted toward those who need it most, with limited resources directed to lower-income seniors. What do you think? Should this be universal, or should it be means-tested more stringently? Another potential change being discussed is adjusting the age of eligibility. You might recall that back in 2012, the government announced plans to gradually increase the eligibility age for OAS from 65 to 67, starting in 2023. This decision was later reversed, but the idea hasn't disappeared entirely. With people living longer and healthier lives, should we reconsider raising the eligibility age? Would doing so help ensure the program's long-term sustainability? Consider this scenario. If the eligibility age were increased to 67, someone who turned 65 in 2025 might have to wait an additional 2 years before receiving their first OAS payment. That's an extra 24 months without this income, potentially a significant impact on retirement plans. How would such a change affect your retirement timeline? Would you need to work longer or draw more heavily on your personal savings? Let's talk about another aspect of OAS that could see changes: the Guaranteed Income Supplement, or GIS. This additional benefit is provided to low-income seniors who receive OAS. Current discussions suggest that GIS could be expanded to provide more support to vulnerable seniors, even as OAS itself potentially becomes more restricted for higher-income individuals. This approach would reflect a shift toward viewing OAS as part of a targeted poverty reduction strategy rather than a universal benefit. The calculations for GIS eligibility could also be revised in 2025. Currently, GIS is reduced based on your income, excluding OAS benefits, but including most other income sources. There's been talk of adjusting these calculations to better account for different types of retirement income, potentially making the system more equitable, but also more complex. Have you considered how these changes might affect your total retirement income? The interaction between OAS, GIS, and other income sources can be complicated, and even small adjustments to the formulas can have significant impacts. Another area to watch involves residency requirements. To receive the full OAS pension, you currently need to have lived in Canada for at least 40 years after turning 18. But what about Canadians who have spent significant portions of their lives working abroad? Or immigrants who arrive in Canada later in life? There are discussions about potentially adjusting these residency requirements, which could affect how much OAS these individuals receive. If you've lived outside Canada for extended periods, how might changes to residency requirements impact your benefits? It's worth noting that these changes don't occur in isolation. They're part of broader discussions about retirement security in Canada. The government is also considering enhancements to the CPP and workplace pension plans, as well as measures to encourage personal savings through vehicles like RRSPs and TFSs. The question becomes, how do all these pieces fit together to create a coherent retirement income system? We've covered a lot of ground today, from potential changes to eligibility age and clawback thresholds to adjustments in how OAS interacts with other income sources. The common thread running through all these discussions is the need for balance between fiscal sustainability and retirement security, between universal benefits and targeted support, between current retirees' expectations and future generations' needs. As we look toward 2025 and beyond, one thing is clear: being proactive about your retirement planning is more important than ever. Understanding how OAS fits into your overall financial picture, staying informed about potential changes, and building flexibility into your retirement strategy are all crucial steps. Have you taken the time to review your retirement plan recently? Do you understand how different scenarios for OAS might affect your financial security? If not, now might be the perfect time to do so. Before we conclude, let's address one more important question. What can you do to prepare for potential OAS changes? First, educate yourself about the current rules and how they apply to your situation. Second, consider consulting with a financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning. They can help you model different scenarios and adjust your strategy accordingly. Third, stay informed about policy discussions by following reliable news sources, government announcements, and reputable financial websites. And finally, consider engaging in the political process by sharing your perspectives with elected officials. Your voice matters in shaping the future of retirement benefits in Canada. Now, if you found this information valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll continue to bring you updates on OAS and other important retirement planning topics as new developments emerge. Hit that notification bell to ensure you don't miss our next video on maximizing your retirement benefits in a changing landscape. And if you have questions or would like to share your thoughts on potential OAS changes, please leave a comment below. We value your perspective and try to respond to as many comments as possible. Thanks for watching. Remember, While we can't control how government benefits might change, we can control how we prepare for these changes. By staying informed and proactive, you can help ensure a secure and dignified retirement regardless of what happens with OAS in 2025 and beyond. Until next time, take care and keep planning for your future.